Well, I've been wanting for quite some time to touch on GeForce Now and all the dealings that have been happening over the past few weeks, and it has been quite a bit. Right now, even if you're not a GeForce Now user, paying attention to what's happening with the service is pretty important for the future of what can happen with cloud gaming. So in this video, we're going to take a look at all the news that's been happening with GeForce Now and see how it's been performing since launch. So let's dive into this video. But before I begin, please smash the like button, sub to the channel for more cloud gaming news. I also want to ask you guys not only your thoughts on the topics in this video in the comments, but if you want to continue hearing news of other cloud gaming platforms and services like GeForce Now. That way I can provide better content for you in the way that you wish. But let's get started with the world of GeForce Now, starting with the elephant in the room. Publishers leaving the platform, and even an indie developer having his issues. The first publisher to leave was Activision about some days after GeForce Now launch, which was ironic because in my GeForce Now breakdown, I had a lot of video footage of Blizzard games like Overwatch. I even had some time where I spent playing World of Warcraft. Then the publisher after Activision left was Bethesda, and then an indie game, The Long Dark, a game that I've poured dozens of hours into. And now we have the latest news. 2K Games just recently left, really driving home the point that there is a big issue here, and things are starting to look rather sketchy. But what does this all mean? Well, it means that they pulled all their games from being able to be streamed on GeForce Now. Now, in the case of Activision and Bethesda, no explanation was given as to why they pulled their games. In the case of Activision, we can speculate. For instance, Activision recently came to a multi-year partnership with Google and YouTube for a streaming deal for esports with Call of Duty and Overwatch. And Bethesda is in partnership with Google in terms of bringing Bethesda games to Stadia, as well as 2K Games. So there seems to be a common theme. But in the case of Activision, there might have been just a licensing dispute. But the real question is, could Google have possibly strong-armed these publishers in keeping their games off of other streaming services like GeForce Now? At this point, we can really only speculate, but I'd have to say that it's kind of a stretch, but it's possible. It's also possible we're starting to see things like exclusivity with even cloud gaming. But at the same time, GeForce Now also doesn't have the support of other publishers, like Capcom, Konami, Rockstar, and Square Enix to name a few. But maybe we can gain some insight from all this from a lone indie developer who pulled The Long Dark from the GeForce Now service, and get a better idea of what's happening here. Mr. Raphael, a developer for The Long Dark, goes on to say, "Sorry to those who are disappointed, you can no longer play the hashtag Long Dark on GeForce Now. Nvidia didn't ask for our permission to put the game on the platform, so we asked them to remove it. Please take your complaints to them, not us. Devs should control where their games exist." And in the same Twitter feed, he goes on to say, "Remember, the most customer-friendly thing you can do as a dev is run a sustainable business so that you can support your game and your customers in the future. Controlling your own content is key to that." Now, at this point, I think it's easy to see what is happening here. These developers and publishers want control of their product, where it goes, and if there is money that is being made, and their game's a part of that, well, they want to cut. The problem, though, is this brings in the larger picture of game ownership, digital goods, and licensing. When you purchase a game on Steam, it explicitly tells you you're not buying the game itself, but you're purchasing a license to play that game. The problem then becomes the muddy picture of GeForce. That is more of a virtual machine and not a platform, but it's a service. Let me paint this picture for you. You purchase a game on Steam, but maybe your computer can't run said game. So you decide then to go to a public LAN center or a gaming cafe that can run that game that you can't at home. You log into Steam on a whole new computer in a different place other than your own place, on a computer you don't own, and download that game, and then you play it at the LAN center or the gaming cafe. Now, how exactly is that any different from using a service like GeForce Now, a virtual PC? But now let's actually play a little devil's advocate. An entertainment lawyer by the name of Pete Lewin has a quote that says, "It kills the ability to commercialize ports for new platforms, in particular mobile. or to negotiate exclusivity deals. I think this brings up a good point for the side of the publishers and developers. The fact is, with cloud gaming, we can play on mobile devices. Heck, it's the absolute biggest reason why I think cloud gaming is the future. A lot of you who are serious about cloud gaming are probably rolling your eyes, but the fact is, cloud gaming is a way to bring high-quality AAA titles to everyone, because almost everybody owns a phone. So from that side, it does make sense that a developer or publisher wants to control where their product gets distributed. The fact is, these publishers made a deal with Steam, not Nvidia. But with that said, this goes back to what I just said earlier. GeForce Now is a service that isn't selling any games and is just renting out a virtual machine. If Nvidia was selling games without permission, well, that would easily be a big issue, but it's not. At the end of this, the bigger picture is without a doubt what this means for us consumers. When we purchase a game on Steam, are we not allowed to use it on other computers? How far does the limit go? Maybe Nvidia needs to cut a deal to where they won't put certain games on mobile if a publisher or developer has an issue with the mobile part of it. I'm not sure what can be done to solve this issue other than limiting us consumers, because at the end of the day, this is just bad for us gamers in the end. Whether some of these publishers pulled because of exclusivity for Stadia or simply not getting a cut, this doesn't excite me for the future of a service like GeForce, and their payment model of $5 a month doesn't help that situation. GeForce Now won't have much of a future in a few years at this rate. And I know that this is a placeholder price and it will increase in a year, but I just don't see how this service is going to sustain itself, especially when there might be a war brewing in the background between digital services and goods. So in my opinion, and I know I'm biased as a consumer, I would ask these developers and publishers to do their research. Understand that being consumer friendly only helps your brand, because the long dark developer is getting killed right now on social media and getting a lot of negative press. Go ahead and retake a look at this deal with GeForce Now down the line if it really starts to blow up and Nvidia charges more and it's a popular service. But that's just my opinion of a simpleton like myself. But moving on to way more positive news for GeForce Now, Nvidia celebrated 1 million subscribers to the service. Now we know it's been a very generous trial where you get 3 free months, and then after that it's only $5. But either way, I was actually very excited to see this. 1 million subscribers tells me there was a lot of people trying out cloud gaming, and that is only a good thing. But on top of that, in a blog post, it also states that they have 1,500 games in their onboarding queue from publishers that share a vision of expanding PC gaming to more people, as well as a mention of Cyberpunk 2077, which will be on the GeForce service on the day it launches. To top that off, Nvidia stated 5 new games have launched, now including Romance of the Three Kingdoms, Dead or Alive 6, Nioh the Complete Edition, Deadliest Catch the Game, and Dungeon Defenders Awakened. So while there has been quite a few bumps along the road since GeForce has launched, there is still a ton of positivity to be excited for with this service. GeForce Now having 1,500 games coming is something to easily look forward to, on top of the games you already have access to. There is definitely a market for GeForce, in my opinion, and if you've ever wondered about PC gaming, have never been able to afford it, playing on GeForce Now is still some of the most affordable way to dive into it, and the service has worked pretty damn well for me. But alright guys, let me know in the comments your thoughts on the topics in this video. Please let me know if you want to continue to see more GeForce news and cloud gaming news in general. Please hit the like button as it helps me out a ton. Sub to the channel for more cloud gaming coverage. Check out our new cloud gaming channel as well, as that brings up-to-date gameplay videos of GeForce Now. Thank you guys for watching, and like always, I'll catch you guys in the cloud.